Hi, I'm Mike Beliveau. I write for Combat Handguns magazine, and today we're going to be testing one of the true classics of the Cold War, the CZ52 single-action auto pistol. This is my CZ52. I've had it for quite a while, about 10 years, and this is pretty typical for a standard issue CZ52. These days, they'll cost you anywhere between $150 and $225, depending on who's selling them, which is amazing compared to what we paid for them 10 years ago. But it's a fun gun, and we're going to show you a little background on it, do a disassembly, reassembly, and then we're going to shoot it. The CZ52 kind of picked up one of these reputations as being a super weapon during the Cold War. It was very little seen in the West in the early days. This, of course, came out in 1952 and was a standard sidearm for the Czechoslovakian military. But it kind of gained a reputation as being an agent's gun. It was supposed to be a super powerful gun, and I think a lot of that is just because it was so rare here in the West that people didn't really understand it. Now, I've had this gun for a good 10 years. And for a while, a lot of them were coming into the country. You could get them for about $80, and they came in pretty good setup, right? You got a nice holster. And as these holsters go, this is basic Central European holster. You find these in Germany and lots of the Central European and Eastern European countries. But this is a pretty good variant of it. So it would contain the gun, spare magazine, always handy, and a cleaning rod. I mean, hard to beat, right? For about 89 bucks, that's about what these things went for. Now, supply is kind of dried up. You can still find them around, but they're going to cost you a bit more money. This really is a pretty neat gun, and one of the cool things about it is, to my mind, it's really not a Browning-inspired design, and so many of our auto pistols have at least a touch of John Browning in them, and this one doesn't. I mean, this one has much more Mauser or Wathler in it. In fact, it kind of looks like a single-action version of a PPK on steroids. And it's quite different in terms of its operation from most of the guns that we're familiar with. So we'll just quickly check it through. Magazine release is a European style for the base. Right, which takes a little bit of getting used to. The controls up here are kind of interesting. It's a 3-position safety. In some ways, if this was a little bit bigger, it would be much easier to hit. But right now, it's unsafe. I cannot make it fire. Right, and go to fire, if you were carrying this, you can hit it with your thumb. Very easy. Now, the wrap on these is don't dry fire them, and I would rarely do it because the firing pins are kind of soft and they can shatter. But that position's safe. This is fire. And then moving up is a decocker. So you can carry it loaded, on safe, but with the hammer down, which I suspect the military did quite a bit. And I've always liked all of these single stack, single action military guns, you know, the SIG P210, the early Berettas, and this one's very cool. So I'm going to show you how you disassemble this, because that's a bit of a trick, and you'll see why I say this is a lot more like a Wathler PPK than it is any Browning design. Okay, to disassemble this, first we'll remove the magazine. So pull that out. And it's really fairly simple. Tension it back, just like you would a Glock or most anything. Right, and then there are these 2 tabs on either side of the receiver. And what we're going to do is we're just going to pull those straight down. And when we do, we can lift the entire top off of the gun. And we'll just put the receiver down and we'll take a look at this for a second, because this is kind of interesting, and I'll show you how to take it to the next level. Well, here we've got the slide barrel and recoil spring, and as you can see, there is no guide rod around the recoil spring. It goes right around the barrel, just like a pocket pistol does, which is what gives this gun its very slender and narrow appearance. And this gun has an interesting locking system. It uses these two rollers here that lock into detents in the frame. This is extremely strong, and they basically took this design from the German MG42 machine gun, which uses the same design. And a very similar design was then used in the Set-Me rifle, and also you'd find it in the Kalashnikov, I think. So it's a very strong design, in fact stronger than you need for this cartridge, and it allows you to shoot more powerful ammo in this gun than in other guns chambered for the same Tokarev round. We'll talk about the round in a minute. Now, to take it to the next level, let's see if I can zoom it a bit here. And I'm going to show you the classical way and a better way of doing it. These guns were made to be field stripped with the base of the magazine. And the base of the magazine, as you can see, there's a groove right here. And the base of the magazine fits into that groove. And the way it works is quite simple. You get the magazine in there, and then you pull that whole arrangement forward, see? And that works just fine. And it's made to do that out in the field. But as you can see, I'm already getting some bending in this magazine. So what you would expect the soldier to do out in the field is not always the best way to handle this when you're back in the shop. And most people would just take a screwdriver and use it. Right, we're going to get a screwdriver right in that groove. And I'm going to bring this forward and then bring it up. And I'll widen it out a bit so you can see. Then we just pull out the barrel and the recoil spring, and then you're all set, right? You can clean the barrel and life is nice. Now you should keep a light coating of oil on the barrel because that's where most of the friction in this action takes place. Alright, to reassemble it, I'm going to push it by hand until I can lock it in right there, and now it's halfway in. And now to take it the rest of the way, I'm going to take my screwdriver, I'm going to put it in that slot, and I'm going to pull this forward until it drops in. And then we're all set. Now, the last step in the reassembly is to just pop it back on, and you'll hear it click, and it'll be on, and you're all set. So, there we go. Originally, the Czechs intended to chamber the CZ52 for the 9mm parabellum round. However, their Soviet overlords were having none of that. This was during the Cold War when the Soviets basically ruled over them, and they insisted that the pistol be chambered in the 7.62 by 25 Tokarev round, which was the standard handgun round of the Soviet Union at that time and of all of the Eastern Bloc. Now, the Tokarev round fires an 85 grain 30 caliber bullet at a velocity of 1,650 feet per second out of the CZ52. So this is really a high velocity, high pressure round, and it'll basically pierce body armor. So this was not a wuss round, even though it's a small 30 caliber. And as you can see, it's almost the size of a 38 Special in height, just to give you some form of comparison. Fully loaded, the CZ52 holds 8 rounds in the magazine and 1 up the spout for 9 rounds of firepower if you need it. So let's take it out to the range and see what it can do. CZ52 is a very controllable pistol, but it has a tremendous muzzle blast and report, which I don't really think comes through here on the video that well. And this is the loser's view of a CZ52 gunfight. I'm going to show you one of the reasons why I really love this Evil Roy system. We have been shooting high-powered, full metal jacket, 30 caliber Tokarev rounds at this Evil Roy target all day from about 12 yards away with no ill effects at all, and you just can't beat that. Watch closely, you're going to see the bullet strikes on the Evil Roy target. Okay, I've been shooting high pressure rounds at the Evil Roy from Action Target Systems, and you can see the line right here. We're digging a trench. Those things, they hit the steel, go right down. Beautiful. Even with high powered rounds like the 30 caliber Tokarev, all we do is just blast them right straight down. So I just shot a bunch from 10 yards away, nothing splashing back at me. Just a fantastic system.